That's what I. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Whoever's here is here. Oh, announcements, announcements, announcements. Fanny went to do it. Fanny went to announce it. Okay. It's okay. What fruit thing was it? I didn't taste it. I didn't get a chance to eat. Oh, that fruit crisp. Were there little notes out about everything? Were the little tents explaining the food? Because that was the whole concept of what we were trying to do. I didn't read any of it. You were hungry. Most importantly, you ate. That's the important part. Oh, good. That's Tali and the people who were responsible. Hi, l'chaim. Hi, guys. L'chaim. Okay. I think we're going to get started. Those who are here, great. Those who are not here, we'll miss you. He's coming. Okay, great. Here comes a few more people. Good. Thank you for being the mevaser, announcing out that we're getting started here. So,
hold on. Let me start it for you.
You started, Rabbi. Go right ahead. Okay. It's almost 1:15. It's 1:13. So
who started?
Marvin's here. Trumped again.
We are the best communicators. Nobody beats us at that. You know what? It is important that at least you're unbeatable at something.
Listen, we're over communicators. We communicated so much that it got to this place. Yeah. Yes, it is. It's on. I think it's on. It's on. Okay, one last announcement, a shout out to the people who are coming or going. If you wouldn't mind opening your Sidur, and we're going to find the bracha for the study of the Torah, which I hope is in the Sidur. It should be. Let's see if we got it. This Sidur is organized in an interesting way.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting way. So let's see. What's that? We're looking for the bracha for the study of the Torah. And if you're looking for the bracha for the study of the Torah, it's not listed in a, wow. We do. Okay. Yeah, it should be part of the regular, and it may actually be in here, just I don't know the Siddur well yet, but it's the bracha for the study of the Torah. Okay, let us begin with the bracha for the study of the Torah. If you don't have a sheet or the sheets, the compilation, please raise your hand and we'll bring one to you, or you can find one near the back. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Powerful are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, who's sanctified our lives by giving us the commandment to engage, la'asok b'divrei Torah, to engage in words of Torah. So that's the way we begin, and hopefully we'll end a little bit today with some singing maybe as well as a kind of a nice way to end. But of course, we are here today to talk about Tu Bishvat, which we're going to celebrate this coming week. Tu Bishvat is the New Year of the Trees, lots of wonderful songs that we learned as children, and lots of ideas. And somebody said to me, did you ever eat bakser? And I said, of course I ate bakser. What is bakser? Bakser is carob. You never had a carob? Okay, it's good. It's not the kind of carob that you get in the health food store. It looks like a desiccated banana. That's what it sort of looks like, right? And it's kind of black and it's kind of dark and it's not particularly yummy, but you chew it and it has a certain kind of flavor to it, and it's really good for your teeth and jaws and other things of that sort. But that, yes, we used to have that as part of the seder. And as you know, there's actually a seder for Tu Bishvat, right? Utilizing cups of wine. You've done that many times here in the synagogue, so I didn't want to do that in the same kind of way. But I did want to show you some material which is important for me, at least. If you need a copy of the text, they're at the back, okay? And this is a Tu Bishvat teaching, and I want us to kind of drill down into these texts, try to figure out what is it that our tradition saw so important about this moment in time that they sort of laminate a seder to it, right? The notion of a seder. Now you need to know, of course, that the number one practice ritual in Jewish life today is is the Seder. Yes, thank you so much. Very good. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? Yes, okay, fantastic. Yeah. So the Seder is the number one most practiced ritual that we have in Jewish life. A close second is, anybody have an idea? Hanukkah candles, yeah, or at least one night of Hanukkah, right? Or some candles, or latkes, or whatever it is, or jelly donuts, right? But the tradition is that these continue to be, the most celebrated. But amongst the least celebrated of our holidays is Tu Bishvat, unfortunately. And Reb Shlomo used to say that you can tell the importance of a Jewish holiday by how few people actually keep the holiday. It's a great line, right? You can tell how important the holiday is by how few people actually participate in the holiday, which means it's somewhat secretive, right? It's something that is not known. It's a little more esoteric, a little less exoteric, right? More known and more appreciated. And I hope, by the way, that over the course of time, more and more people will participate in these rituals, because in part it raises a kind of consciousness for us that we need. It's a consciousness of the importance of the land. It's important of the consciousness of the ecological cycle. And I think in many, many ways, because we live as we do in hermetically sealed realities, right? Think about it. And by the way, we want it that way, right? Right now it's freezing cold outside, so you don't want your windows open, right? You don't want to be listening to the world at large out there necessarily right now. But soon enough, with God's help, right, we will have the opportunity to open the windows and to have sunshine and to have the birds chirping, even though I think birds do chirp during this time as well, or at least my neighbors are chirping, so we'll find out what's going on. But the truth of the matter is that it is a somewhat unknown ritual because it is, as I said, esoteric. It's a little bit more on the secretive side. And anytime that something is a little bit more secretive, it becomes the bastion of those who are interested in the mystical realities, right? In the Kabbalistic mystical realities of that which is unknown. And to say that there's more to learn from these particular traditions than maybe meets the eye. I see some of you, as they say in school, put down your pencil and turn over your paper. So if you're reading ahead, which is okay, it's not a problem at all to read ahead, but it'd be good if you were kind of listening to the introduction as well. Okay. So I want to begin with this introduction from a sefer called Pri Etz Hadar, right? Prayerful intentions for the eating of the fruit, right? Quotations from Pri Etz Hadar, which is a sefer, is a book that talks about Pri Etz Hadar. Anybody know which fruit is the Pri Etz Hadar? Pri means fruit, Etz means tree, Hadar, anybody know? Hadar means supposed to be beautiful, right? Hadrat Melech Pnima, right? Or Hadrat Bat Melech, the beauty of the daughter of the king is inwardness. Hadar means beautification, right? Pri Etz Hadar, which means what? A fruit that is beautiful. And our tradition identifies that fruit as? Oh boy. Okay, come on. Anybody know? You can have 4 choices, right? It could be a lulav, it could be an etrog, it could be a hadas. Right, okay. It is the etrog. Pri Etz Hadar. And Hadar, by the way, means many different things. Hadar also means that resides or lives, and it lives on the tree for a period of time. Pri Etz Hadar, it stays on the fruit stays on the tree for an extended period of time. In Israel, that's important because the fruit itself usually dries up as it gets hot outside, right? But this fruit seems to be succulent enough to sustain itself. It's a very moist fruit, it's a wet fruit, it has juice in it, and so forth. Therefore it sustains itself. So it's called the Pri Etz Hadar, which remains on the tree for an extended period in time. But Hadar also means beautiful, right? Hadar. And it is a beautiful fruit. And if you look at the etrog, if you've ever seen one, they're quite beautiful. They really are. And that's why they're quite expensive, right? The lulav and the hadas and the arava, it's garnished, right? It doesn't cost very much. But the whatever, $55 that you pay, that gets paid for the etrog, which is the most beautiful and the most expensive and the most challenging to grow. We bring them here, and so we have to charge, import and taxes and all other kinds of other things, and it becomes an expensive proposition. But it is a mitzvah. Lakachtem lechem. You should take it for yourself on this holiday. So the writer of all of this, right, uses the notion of Pri Etz Hadar. He's thinking about fruit, and he wanted it should be a beautiful experience. And so this book gets written about the fruits that we have and how they impact our lives. So if somebody would be willing to read for me, that would be fantastic. The Kabbalists, right, believe that eating fruit on Tu Bishvat would be great. Anybody want to read? Okay, but you got to read in your best acting voice, projecting, please.
The Kabbalists believe that by eating fruit on Tu Bishvat with full intention and proper blessings, they could increase the flow of blessings from heaven to earth, and thus harvest more physical abundance while bearing more spiritual fruit.
Okay, 2 agenda items, right? We're trying to do what? We're trying to have lots of fruit and lots of blessing. Okay? And you notice here, they go back and forth between these 2 things. If you parse out these 2 verses or these 2 lines, you'll notice that both agenda items are happening here. Right? There is supposed to be beneficence. It's supposed to be the beauty and abundance of fruit. And also it's supposed to do something else. It's supposed to what? Provide for you something spiritual, some spiritual abundance, right? And the notion of imbibing something to create an experience for yourself is a very powerful notion. Think about it, right? Think about Passover. Pesach is the best example, right? You imbibe maror so that you feel maror, so you feel embittered, right? You have charoset so that you can feel the sense of joy and celebration and the nuttiness and the fruitiness. A lot depends on how you make it, right? But the idea is it means something to you, right? And the way in which it means something to you is by underscoring all of the senses that you bring to bear on the experience itself, okay? So even if looking at these first few verses, you see what? That by eating the fruit on Tu Bishvat, what are they laminating together here? Not only the action and not only the intention, but one more thing. Time, right? It is intention, it is the act itself, but it's also doing it bismano, in its right time. For those of you who are interested, Abraham Joshua Heschel has a fascinating essay. And he talks about, at the beginning of the essay, what if somebody keeps Shabbos on Tuesday? Have they kept Shabbat? Right? We used to joke, he's a Shomer Tuesday, right? His business is closed on Tuesday, right? But the truth of the matter, Heschel goes on to make the argument that even if one is punctilious in their observance of the Shabbat, and it's not bismano in its time, then the celebration of Shabbat is not efficacious. One has not fulfilled one's requirements for the observance of the Shabbat if one does it on Tuesday. Now we can make the argument because we live in a time and a place where intention is often more important than the action itself. Right? The intent of the act is usually more important, and most people these days want that kind of spirituality. It's nice when I say, like, laminate them together, make the 2 important. But that is not the reality. If I were to say to you, what do you want from any given experience? You would say, I want to taste the deliciousness of the experience. What's important to me is not necessarily that I do it in the most punctilious of fashions, but that it means something to me. And the best example, since it's the number 1 celebrated experience in Jewish life these days, is the Pesach Seder. How many people can actually say, Chasal Sidur Pesach, the Seder is over, right? And I've done the Seder, Kechol Mishpato Vechukato. I did it according to all the rules and the regulations, which, by the way, I learned here in Winnipeg from Mr. Serlin. Right, Mr. Serlin, remember Mr. Serlin? He was about 4 foot nothing, right? And he taught us the Seder. And he put me on television, on the Noah Whitman show on television, and we did the Seder. So he taught us that, Chasal Sidur Pesach, and then we were one day in class, and somebody said, well, let's sing some of the songs that we're going to learn, we're going to sing them on television. So one guy started with Chasal Sidur Pesach, right? And he yelled at him and said, you're starting at the end, Chasal Sidur Pesach? It's over already, we haven't done it. But part of our problem, of course, is that we want to say those things because we like to sing the song. But really, have we done it? Kechol mishpato ve'kechol chukato. Do we really do it in the punctilious religious fashion that's outlined in our tradition? Likely not. And what we hope and pray for is that it's a meaningful experience. And by the way, the best excuse always is, my kids are here. My grandkids are here. My family is here. We got to finish by a certain hour. They've got work tomorrow. They've got things tomorrow. They're not going to stay for so long, right? I have to say that, I understand it and I modify as well. Don't think, I'm not coming to the Seder at the shul. It's going to go till 3 o'clock in the morning by the time Rabbi finishes. No. Of course I modified over the course of time. But wouldn't it be more better? Wouldn't it be way better if we really felt that We want to stay in this experience because it's so moving and so powerful and so engaging and so uplifting and so also depressing all at the same time, because the Seder is about highs and lows and peaks and valleys and delicious and sweet and sad and spicy and all the other things. It's a lived experience because that's life. Life is all of those things. It's a great fruit salad, as it were, right? Appropriate for this moment in time while we're talking about fruit. Okay, let's go on. Keep on reading. You're doing great.
A pamphlet called Pri Etz Hadar, translated the fruit of the goodly tree, or the most majestic of fruits.
You could see how it could be either, right? Okay? The fruit of the goodly tree or the most majestic fruit, yeah?
A phrase taken from Lev 23:5.
That's Leviticus. That's the heart of the Torah, right? The third book out of the 5. Good. So far we're doing good. Go.
Outline the original Tu Bishvat Seder, including readings and instructions for intentions, deviations,
Meditations.
and blessings. The following quotations are taken from the book Pri Etz Hadar.
Right. This is my, distillation of some of the good stuff, okay? So I'm going to give you the juiciest of the juicy, okay? Fantastic. Going to have another reader? Somebody's going to read? Through the power? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, you flinched and you got nominated. It's good. Anybody else want to just read? Go ahead. Yeah, please. Go ahead, Jerome. Thanks.
Through the power of the blessings and contemplation of the mystery of the fruits, divine fruits, an effect will be produced in their structure and character above, so that fruit becomes a kind of medicine full of whatever the eater needs or for his or her own personal tikkun, repair and healing, as well as for their work toward tikkun olam, repair of the world.
So wait a second. You see lots of things here, but let's start with the notion that this is medicinal. That there's something about, there's movements around, right? Food as medicine. Food as medicine. Eating certain kinds of things that give you a certain kind of reaction within your body, right? It's very popular these days to say we're going to be able to eat a diet that can sustain us and support us. And if I'm missing this kind of mineral, I'm missing that kind of vitamin, I can get it through the fruits and the vegetables in the world, right? To kind of extricate that or to exact it from that particular fruit. So that's one part of it, but it's not just the eating of the fruit. It's not just the imbibing. It has to be done in a certain kind of way. Right? It has to be done with the appropriate blessing, with the appropriate kavanah, with the appropriate intentionality, and it has to be done, one last thing, because I want to make sure to underscore this. I just mentioned in Heschel, it has to be done at the right time. It has to be done on Tu Bishvat. If you're doing it on, 12 of Shvat, it doesn't make it Tu Bishvat. In other words, there's something about the right place and the right time, in the right way, that makes it bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, the magic that is, I think, true in many, many kind of ways. I'm waiting for somebody to challenge me and say to me, that's wrong, Rabbi. I can still have the feeling, even though if it's not in the right time. Right? Let's say I decide that, here's a great one. Our tradition has something called Pesach Sheni, the second Passover. It's on the calendar, right? It's like one of those things that people don't know what it's about. It's on Pesach Sheni, right? By the way, there's also all these other fasts that appear. If you have your Jewish calendar, right, and you get it, and all these kind of little fasts that people know nothing about, and people say, we can't have that program today. It's a fast day. And I said, oh my God, I have to explain this. These are minor fasts. Only a certain group of individuals really do, and it's Bet Hey Bet. It's the second day of the one Monday, and then it's the Thursday, and the next, and only happens 3 times during the course of this particular period. Right, all kinds of rules and regulations which were part of the final exam in rabbinical school way back when, because you had to know what that stuff was, okay? But spiritual import? I'm not so sure. So most people say to me, what do you mean you have to do it in the right time? Let's say I am working on Thursday, and Thursday is the Seder. Is it better that I shouldn't have a Seder at all than to do it on the Thursday? That's not what I'm saying, okay? Let's make sure. If you would not do the Seder at all, if you would not be involved in the mitzvah at all, if you would not participate in any of these experiences, if you didn't do it on another day at another time, okay, do it. But the question is, if you're already going to invest the time and the energy to do it, then how about doing it bismano, in its right time, in its right way? Invest enough to have the text in front of you, to have the right kavanot, the right intentionality. Prepare yourself for an experience, because as we know, those who fail to plan to fail. And that is the experience that so many of us have. And part, I think, of what's happened over the course of time in the Jewish world is there was a time when people just did it. I just did it, right? It's time for mincha, I daven mincha. It's time for marv, I daven marv, all right? I just sort of did it like respiration. And over the course of time, we've become much more existentially oriented, meaning it has to mean something to me, or otherwise I'm not going to be able to do it. Or I'm not going to commit myself to do it. And that's a balance that we're looking to strike over the course of this experience. And by the way, as conservative Jews, or a synagogue in the spirit of conservative Jews, I'm not exactly sure how to refer to this congregation. Eitz Chaim clearly puts itself as a conservative congregation, but we put ourselves in the spirit of the conservative movement, which, by the way, I think is just fine. We don't have to be anything that we don't want to be, but I think we have to understand, what does it mean to be in the spirit of that? And in part, it means to think not only about what it is that we're doing and the personal benefit that we glean from the experience, but also to believe somehow or another that there is a way that it should be done, at a time that it should be done, a day that it should be done, and the hardest thing to do, an intention for how it should be done. What is in heart and mind as I'm engaging in this particular ritual? So I want to make sure to say there is a hierarchy, right? The ideal scenario is that everything is clicking on all cylinders. But if you can't get to all cylinders, okay, I don't want to say don't do anything. But if you're looking to shoot for the stars, right? If you're looking to get mo better, if you're trying to get to a place of higher and deeper, shoot for it in a way that allows for you to set this up as right time, right place, right rituals, right intention. Okay, there was a question. Yeah. An answer. Okay.
But we call that a Shabbat.
Yeah, we call it Shabbat. Okay, so let's start with an example. Does the Reformed congregation in town not have Shabbat? Okay, when is their Shabbat? Friday night. That's their experience. And it doesn't mean that there aren't people who continue to do Shabbat into Shabbat, but it begins, and that's the height of their experience, right? For us, the height of our experience is Shabbat morning, okay? Now, it doesn't mean we don't have Friday night service, and it doesn't mean we don't have Saturday afternoon, evening services. We do. But the height of it is on Shabbat morning. And why was it chosen? By the way, the jury was out for a very long time in the conservative movement across the United States and Canada, whether Friday nights were going to become the most popular time. I grew up here in Winnipeg, right? I would get on my velour vest and burgundy corduroys and my what. You know when I grew up, right? Okay, you know what year it is, right? And I would walk over from my house on Matheson. We walk over to the Rosh Pina, and they would have a Friday night service where 9 times out of 10, it was a girl having her bat mitzvah, because in those days, girls couldn't have their bat mitzvahs on Shabbat morning, so they would go on Friday nights, at least 9 times out of 10, and it was a great experience, and it was equally as long as the Saturday morning service, right? And included the lifting of the Torah and the reading of the Torah, or at least the reading from the prophets, at least the reading of the Haftarah, and that was the way we conducted and comported ourselves. And over the course of time, what happened was, there was a conscious decision to say, look, we don't want to spread ourselves out. We would love it if we had 300 people who came every Tuesday morning. But that's not the reality. So what we did was we focused on essentializing, which has a great benefit. To bring a kahal rav, to have a large crowd come together for Shabbat, is beautiful. The question is, are we satisfied with that? And the reason I chose this text to show you is, it has to be a combination of things. If you want to do this, right, to the highest level possible, the deepest level possible, you need intention, you need time, you need place, you need liturgy, you need all the things to be together in a symphony of experiences. But I guess I'm pushing for somebody, I'm hoping that somebody would have said it in this group, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. What I really, oh, you're going to say it, okay. No, just 1 second, I'll give you a shot, right? But in the final analysis, how important is it that the synagogue service happens bismano? Let me give you an example. Shema Yisrael should have been chanted in this time and in this place with the short days that we have by now, probably by no later than 8:45 in the morning. What time did we say the Shema Yisrael today? 10:30, okay. We did get to 11 if you got here for the Torah service, right? They said the Shema Yisrael again, okay? So the actual recitation of the Shema, for the sake of reciting it, b'shivtecha beveitecha, when you get up and when you lie down, b'lechtecha b'derech, when you're walking along the way, right? That Shema probably was good, right? Wasn't it good? It was a great Shema. Shema Yisrael was all, we sang, everybody was together, it was beautiful, people closed their eyes, people did all kinds of nice things, except what? It wasn't in the right time. And therefore, if you were looking to kind of create the ideal scenario, we should have done the Shema Yisrael when? By 8:30, 8:45, by the time that you were supposed to do it bismano. And I don't want to sound like some kind of, punctilious fuddy-duddy. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that there may be a secret sauce that many of us have been looking for, not because we are looking to be more ritualistically religious, but because we're looking to tap into the power and profundity of Jewish ritual in its original, authentic way. And part of our problem is that authentic, right, original way is lost on us because we overslept. Because we have not invested ourselves in participating in mitzvot in their right time, in their right way, in the way in which the tradition lays out for us as halakha, which is so poorly translated as law. It's the way that Jews do stuff. That's what halacha is. It is the way we walk in the word. It is the halicha of the halakha, how one walks the pathway that's laid out. And often we get confused with those people, and we divide the world. It's very easy to divide the world into us and them, right? People who want spirit and people who want ritual. But it's not true. That is a false bifurcation, because many, many, many people come to these experiences and try to engage in religious and Jewish life because they're looking for the spiritual existential import along with the ritual. And by the way, there are people who are really, really, really good at the ritual. There are excellent people at the ritual. They are. And I don't want to, God forbid, take any of that away from them. I want us to be facile with the ritual. I want my children, I want myself. I've trained myself to be facile in the ritual. But I equally want, and not more so, but equally want the ability to say, this is what this does for me in my kishkas, in my innards, in my heart, in my mind. It makes me feel this way. And if it can be even higher than that, it fuels me to be a better version of myself and a better neighbor and a better friend and a better partner and a better rabbi and a better human being, because this has fueled me to do certain actions in certain ways with certain intention, and if we learn nothing else, in the right time, in the prescribed time. Okay, you had a question. Yeah. From, by the way, means religious or punctiliously religious, right? It means a person who's bound to a certain kind of way. The opposite would be fry, right? Free, right? From and fry, yeah.
They will not, will they tolerate me as a spiritual Jew? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But I don't know if you would tolerate this right. Well, I guess that way. But can I understand what they're doing? Absolutely.
Yeah. So look, I try to spend a little bit, no. I want to spend in my lifetime a little less time sort of worrying what other people do, and I want to try to be authentically me, okay? And with all my own mishigas, right? We all have the static that gets in the way, and our complexities and our psyches and all the other things and our egos that get in the way of lots of other kinds of things, okay? But I do want to say that if I could say aspirationally, what I would like to be able to do is to live out Jewish tradition in the right way, in the right time, with the right intention, and if I could add even more to that, with the right kinds of people. In other words, being with people who take this whole endeavor, this whole practice seriously is also really important. Ever sit in a room with people who know the songs that you're singing, right? A child arrived just the other day, came to the world in the usual way, right? If you don't know that song, oh my God, okay, right? You don't know that song? The Cat's in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, okay, right? And Cat Stevens, or Stephen Katz, right. Okay, so, yeah, right. So, Cats in the Cradle, right. It became sort of de rigueur at summer camps, right? And we were really good about having it become part of Camp Playmore or a million other camps that we attended, Camp Ramah, or whatever camp it was, because it brought people in and people were participating. And so we went to the realm of the kavanah, the intentionality was really beautiful. And the hope was if they really enjoyed the experience, they would want to then learn something about the ritual, the Abagada Havazah. Those are the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Abagada Havazah. That's right. That's what I call it, the Abagada Havazah of Jewish life. They would want to learn how to do it because they were so drawn in by the power of the experience. Wouldn't you imagine that if you were facile in that, along with the facile with the feeling, that the combination of right words, right time, right actions, right intentions, wouldn't that be fantastic? But truth be told, that is a hard thing to do. So what does our tradition say? Our tradition says, okay, daven on a regular basis and hope every once in a while the davening itself will do what? Will be transcendent for you. Will take you to that place, okay? But what we have here is an opportunity to actually add to it in a really fascinating way. What do they add to it in addition to the right time, the right intention, the right ritual, the right else? What else are they adding to it? Yeah, the senses are added to it. In other words, it's taste and smell and sound and sight, all these kinds of things, which, by the way, is, I think, the secret sauce of why Pesach is so important to us. Because the truth of the matter is, it's the same dishes that every year. We take them out, we put them out, if we're still doing that ritual of the changing of the dishes, right? And the truth of the matter is that we remember those things. As kids, we had this one little bowl, right? And we're 4 boys, right? It was like, remember wrestling the battle royale, right? Like, I'm going to get the bowl, right? And by the way, it's a holiday day, and nobody wants to get up early. But we wanted the bowl, so we got up at 3 a.m. so I could hold on to the bowl so that I could have my matzah cereal in the coveted bowl, right? So we talk about it that way, and you giggle and you laugh. But on the other hand, if we felt that yearning about religious life, zeal for performance of the mitzvah, right? So I want to tell you a story that Maaseh Shehaya, that just happened, right? We've been unpacking. And I have many sets of tefillin. I have my preferred set of tefillin. My preferred set of tefillin are actually, they're not the tefillin that I got for my bar mitzvah, though I got them. They're very nice, and they've been repaired and modified and enhanced over the course of time on a pretty regular basis. I lived in cities that was pretty easy to get access to a sofer. When I was in Cleveland, I was going to get my corned beef, for a sandwich, and while I was in corned beef sandwich, I went to the sofer, and he was next door, pop, he take him in and said, kosher, right? But I have a pair of tefillin that are actually my dad's old tefillin, which he gave to me at some point, okay? Why do I love these tefillin? First of all, nobody get too, excited here, but I love the way they smell. They smell like your dad, right? And that's why kids, when you're away and you have a little kid, you give them your pillow, right? The pillow. And it smells like your dad, okay? Smells like your parents. And there's a comfort in all of that. But also, they are so well, my dad's 86, Kinei Nahor, right? He's on his way to 87, right? And he's been putting on these tefillin, or did for many, 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 many years, right? Putting on these tefillin, right? And so the tefillin are pliable, right? They almost wrap themselves on me. I'm only doing this, right, going on close to 60 years, right? Mine are he had a 20-year head start, right, on those tefillin. And mine are nice, and I like them, and I feel comfortable in them, and I'm at ease in them, right? But they're not the same. And in part, what I'm trying to create for us is the notion of moving into religious and spiritual life with a kind of ease of my pliable tefillin, right? That almost wrap themselves on me by themselves. By the way, I don't know if that makes sense to anybody other than to me, right? But somehow or another, they adhere to me. They adhere to me. They know where they're supposed to go and how they're supposed to be. And by the way, you'll see me during the course of a service fixing the headpiece or the armpiece because they become unlodged during the course of time and it doesn't feel right. And if you really believe, as I do, that the tefillin are supposed to activate chakra points, energy points within you, and it's on the wrong chakra point, it's like getting a massage in the wrong way. Right? I still see my massage therapist is here, right? Okay? It's the wrong emphasis, right? It's the wrong strength. It's the wrong technique. Somehow it just doesn't feel right. And what I think amongst the things that we have lost by virtue of the fact that we have not made it tefillah, worship, in the right time, in the right way, with the right language, with the right intentionality, right? What we haven't been able to teach is how to adapt to the notion that there is such a thing as good, and there's gooder, and there's goodest, and there's best, right? And so on and so on and so on. That there are ways in which one can participate in the life of the Jewish people that are good and nice and sweet and go for it, okay? But if someone were to come to me and say, what should a Jew be? So this is really an important thing, right? A Jew should be aspiring. Not perspiring, but aspiring, right? We should be aspiring to be all those things and to put them together because the utility, the benefit is mo better. It will feel better. It will resonate better. And if you're the kind of person like me who believes that we're adding energy into the world, our actions are a kind of sympathetic magic, meaning what we do has an impact on the world at large, the energy that is created in the world at large. To believe that this action will have that kind of consequence. And I have to say that many, many, many days I question that, right? Is this really making a difference in the world, right? And then there are days when it really does make a difference. That the gentle, kind embrace of somebody who's sad, or the dollar or the loonie or the toonie that I gave the guy who's freezing his tuchus off outside of the legislature and gets him a cup of coffee, probably changed his day. Maybe allowed for him to stay in the world, you know? People die from the frigid cold that we have here. And I think it's an important thought that what's the right intention, in the right time, in the right way, all of that together. It's the ritual is the giving of tzedakah. The intentionality is to give the tzedakah, right? If somebody takes a quarter and throws it at you and says, here you go, right? Like, okay, so probably the person will pick it up because they need it. But what happened to me in that interchange, right? I've sullied myself in that interchange in a way that might not be redeemable, right? Until the next time you have an opportunity to give a guy a cup of coffee, right? Okay, so there are a couple of comments, please, yeah.
Maybe if we talked about the end goal,
Okay.
of being in the presence of the presence, that I bring all my attention, all my senses, and I mark it in my calendar, then maybe it's another kind of a product. It's sold as a spiritual product that way,
Right.
rather than punctilious
Right.
attention
Yeah.
for the sake of doing it at
Lovely.
the right time. If there's an end goal, and the end goal is to live in the presence of the presence.
That's nice. It's a nice way to put it. I was sort of saying the same thing, but not quite as eloquently. I'm calling it mobeta, but that's sort of my language. But I love the notion of living in the presence of the presence, right? And by the way, in order to, sorry? Oh, the question was, oh boy, Safta, how can I can't do it justice. How would you frame it?
You know, we're talking
Louder.
about creating a modality for people to buy into.
We're trying to create a modality for people to buy into. I described it as trying to do these things with the right intention, so to be more better. So it's good to do it. It's even better to do it in the right way, in the right time. And my mom was adding the notion of what's really probably the best is the presence of the presence. To realize that what you are doing in this action is you are standing in the presence of the divine.
Training yourself to be in
train yourself to be in the presence. By the way, I would just maybe add that in part what you're trying to do is, since I mentioned sympathetic magic, the notion of a sympathetic magic is that you draw the divine into your reality. In other words, the divine is impacted by what you do, how you do it, the consciousness you have about it. And so the divine has no choice but to react to the actions and behaviors and attitudes of humanity, right? Look, we take a lulav and we shake it. Ostensibly, it's a ritual about fertility, right? It's about bring the rain so that the world is fructified, right? But it's much more than that. And the way in which you shake it, and the directions in which you shake it, right? And most people maybe get to that, and then they think that they've got it, and they realize that there are 6 more shitot styles of how it should be done, each one with a consciousness, each one with a style, each one with an orientation, each one trying to lead us in a slightly different spiritual orientation and direction. And that, I think, is one of the great challenges of Jewish life, because it's hard enough to learn how to pray in and of itself. Pray in a vernacular that you don't know. Pray in an idiom that you don't know. Pray in a way, and by the way, we've mitigated many of those things by having big screens and transliterations and easy melodies and relatively short services and explanations and explications of what's going on. And yet, it's not so simple. And if it was so simple, and it was so easy, and it was so easy to connect with the numinous, to connect with the divine, the shul wouldn't have 400 people in it. It'd have 4,000 people coming on a regular basis in search of what it is that we're offering. And I have to say that one of the things I have learned, and I give Rabbi Mass and Cantor Leslie a lot of credit for this, is that they have tried very hard to have that at the forefront of their minds as they have curated an experience that they're trying to present for people here. Now, already I've played with it a little bit in my short time here, but I'm going to continue to do that. And we are going to continue to do that as a congregation, because whatever is right now in this moment in time, correct now in this moment in time, by the time the next generation is around, they may either want something different, or they may want to shift back to something that's more traditional. But I want to be able to say out loud that the modalities that are available have always been available. In other words, the notion of right action, right time, right intentionality, right directionality. Right? Let's add that in there for thinking about this as a way to connect with the numinous, to connect with the divine. The right directionality. It is leading us. By the way, lehit palel, right? Which means to wrong. Okay, no. Okay. Lehit palel is a reflexive verb, which is this: to go in, right? To go up, to go out. That's the action. Go in, go up, go out. Meaning, feel it in your heart, feel it in your neshama, feel it in your spirit, articulate it through these words, these traditions, these ideas, these values, which our sages have taken, many of them coming from the Bible, many of them coming from the prophets, many of them coming from the writings, many of them coming from different places, many of them coming from the outpourings of hearts of brilliant individuals in different eras. And then the idea is to what? To share it out. Now here's the issue. If we did that with every prayer, we would start with, okay, everybody ground themselves in their heart, right? And then everybody say the words and we go out. And then we say, and let's watch the letters flying towards the heaven. It would be not a 2-hour service, but it would be, a 12, bye everybody, Shabbat Shalom, a 12-hour experience, which most of us could not countenance for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which we have other things that we need to do with our lives. But the ability to aspire towards having this notion of rumination of the heart, which leads, therefore, to an elevated sense of what it is that we're doing, which leads to an appreciation of the language that we're using, which leads to an appreciation of the actions that are happening, whether it's bowing or covering the eyes or whatever it is that we're doing, the action itself, and with the right intention to try to make a difference in the world and to believe that the prayer that you're engaged with and involved with in this given moment in time has the ability to be sympathetic magic, to influence the divine and to shift the world into a new modality of being. Wow! I want some of that. I want to be part of that, right? I want to be in that parade. I want to be in that. Say that again? Yeah, okay, so it's a messianic orientation to the world, and that's a nice way of saying, I'm not sure I can do it. Like, at least for me, it's a nice way of saying that. But I want to say exactly the opposite. I want to say that it actually gives us a chance to really believe that we can. And I don't have to be at the end game. I can be steps along the way. I can be making strides in the direction of a Mashiach kind of era or a Messianic kind of era. It doesn't have to, or I can see cracks, right, in the experience, in the cosmic reality that are allowing for us to feel a sense of the numinous. Take care, everybody. Okay, I'm going to finish in just a moment. So I want to just finish up with a little bit of this text, okay? So take a look where it says, "May it be a will, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, that through the sacred power of our blessing and eating fruit," and then on top of it, while reflecting on the secret of their spiritual roots upon which they depend, the Shefa, right? The favor, blessing, and bounty, right? The beneficence of the Almighty be bestowed upon them. May the angels appoint over them also to also be filled with the power of Shefa, of their glory. May it return and cause them to grow a second time from the beginning of the year until the end of the year, for bounty and blessing, for good and for life and for peace. Amen, right? As part of this Seder, we do very much what it is that we try to do through the Pesach experience as well. That's why the Seder makes so much sense. In fact, there should be a Seder for everything, including a Seder for Shabbat. Because what's happened now? People come home, and they take out their Kiddush, right, their Manischewitz, and they say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu borei pri hagofen, right? And then they say, Hamaitzi lechem min haaretz, right? And that's the end, right? And by the way, it's a great beginning. It's like, you say Yiddish to the first meal, the first part of the meal is a Vorspeise, right? It's a great appetizer. But I don't want to live in the spiritual realm of just appetizers. I want to live in the spiritual realm of a real meal, including, dessert and a palate cleaner and all the other things that go into fancy meals that we have in fancy restaurants we pay a tremendous amount for. I want this to be a fancy experience. I want it to be a full-fledged, right, full-throated, fully embodied experience that raises us up. And here's the secret. If you're able to do that even a little bit for people, right, who's not coming back? Who's not coming back? So I want to just finish with a story, and there might be a question or two, and then we'll let you go. There's a man of blessed memory by the name of Michel Abu Tzera, and he was the Rebbe of Lubavitch's whistler. That's what he did. That was his job. Okay, I want such a gig. He's a whistler. Okay, and he was a whistler, and the Rebbe believed, and so did this man, that if he blew the sharp whistle sounds, it would chase away any of the negative spirits that were around. Anything that was negative, the klipot, the coverings, the shadim, any of the negative energies would be chased away by the whistling. And so he would go to Fabrengen, where the rabbi was teaching and singing, and they were getting together, and he would stand up and he would whistle, and he was a great whistler. Like, those people could do it with their two fingers or whatever. I don't know if anybody here knows how to whistle like that. You could do the whistle, and it kind of blew you away, right? And it shook the carbuncles from your spirit off, right? Wow, it just was piercing in that kind of sense. And it was really, 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 really powerful. And I remember speaking to him about this job, and I said, well, is this really a job? He said, well, it's sort of a part-time gig. My real job is he was a macrobiotic teacher, and he did a lot of teaching of Jewish tradition, and wonderful, 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 wonderful. And I said, but do you believe it to be true? And he said, I live as if it is the truth. I live as if it is the truth. So can I guarantee to you that what I'm suggesting, this program of engaging it in the right way, in the right time, with the right words, with the right intentionality, right, will give you exactly what it is? I don't know. Will you be transcended and teleported to another reality, and you will feel you're on the wings of eagles, and you've encountered the Messianic Redeemer? I'm not sure. But I do know that some of this stuff can help us make strides in the direction of a more utopian era, a more sensitive us, a better version of ourselves, softer, gentler, more conscious, more aware, more able, more willing, and maybe the last thing I want to say, the less embarrassed. Less embarrassed by taking seriously the notion that a spirituality exists in the universe to which we can tap into and can help us get to a place of feeling higher and higher. Lord, get me high, get me high, get me higher, higher and higher to you. Lord, get me high, get me high, get me higher, higher and higher to you. Lord, get me deeper. Lord, get me deeper and deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper to you. Lord, get me high, get me high, get me higher, higher and higher to you. I'm not going to give the test, but the test I wanted to give is, tell me, the test I wanted to give was, does it make sense to you? I mean, can you resonate with you? Yeah, there's some people who go easily to this place. It's not the normal place that we take people. It's so not located here, right? It's not even really located here, though you can get there, but it's located elsewhere. And the question is there a way for all of this to influence us in our practice? Because here's the great secret. If we keep on doing exactly what it is that we're doing, we'll be a part of the definition of insanity, right? Which is, doing the same thing over and over again and wondering why the results are no different. And what are the results? The results are that by and large, take a look, it was a great crowd of people in shul. And we had a family service. So how many kids were there? 6, 8, 10? This is a congregation of 750 families, right? So if we don't get to the good stuff, the higher and higher and higher and higher, or at least have the aspiration of higher and higher and higher, we're never going to get there. You have to put it on the docket for an agenda item for us. I go to lots of meetings, right? Becoming a rabbi, I signed up for meetings, right? Okay? Like, I'm in a meeting. Don't bother me now, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting. I'm on a way to a meeting, I'm on a meeting, right? I get it. I understand it. But if the sum total of my experience of a day is meetings, come on. That's not what it's all about. If the sum total of a synagogue is the meetings, no. It has to be the rationale, right, of the meeting is so we do better, we do more better. We raise consciousness, we raise awareness, we raise spirituality quotient, we raise the Kedusha quotient, right? The holiness and sacred quotient of the work that we do, that people see each other in a sacred dance with one another and with the Almighty and with a tradition. Dervishing about, whirling about in that and swirling about in that kind of way. Because, I got to tell you here, being here any single day during the week is like being in a whirling dervish experience. Because you got the kids, and you got the adults, and you got the seniors, you got the women's group, you got the men's group, you got the guys, and this one, and that. The people who come to shul, the people who refuse to come to shul, the people who come for the food, the people who come for the music. Right? It's all happening all at the same time, and it can be like a whirling dervish experience. So how do you slow it down so you can figure out what is it that I need to tap in so that I can go higher and higher and higher? That's what I'm trying to share with you. You probably think I'm a little meshuggah, but you wouldn't be the first. So I wish everybody a good day. Take care. Oh, somebody asked me if we could say Kaddish. You say Kaddish after the study of Torah, and somebody has your side. So if you would like to join me for a Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei b'chayeichon u'v'yomeichon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shmei dekurusha b'recho. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. O se shalom b'imromav hu barachamav yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who ordains the peace of the universe ordain peace for us, for all Israel, and for all humanity. And let us say together, Amen. Shabbat shalom. Everybody go home and take a little nap. Okay? Shabbat shalom, everybody. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.